This is a summary of starting on Daf Nun Dalid on the left-hand column, where the Alter Rebbe starts to talk about the idea of the kav. And the Alter Rebbe explains that when we talk about the length of the kav, we talk about higher and lower. We're not talking about spatially higher and lower, but we're talking, like the Rambam uses the analogy of one chacham who is higher than another chacham. Again, it's not about their physical distance, but it's about the idea that from the infinity of Hashem, this very narrow expression is manifest, and it's comparable to the 3,000 mashalim, parables, analogies, metaphors, and similes that King Solomon was able to communicate. These were not on a horizontal set. They weren't all identical. Each one was a shade different, and its objective was to take something that is lofty, that is outside, that is above, that is beyond us, and make it accessible and tangible. And this required the great scholarship of Shlomo. Not everybody can create these mashalim. The Gemara tells us that when Rameir died, that was sort of the end of the mashal makers, because in order to be able to bring it to the lowest, that is the most elementary student, the teacher has to be of the greatest scholarship. And the same is true as we bring it down from the highest level of the infinity of Hashem through the Olamus down to us here in this physical world. And this now allows us to understand a seeming oddity when it comes to Yom Kippur. We know that on Shabbos, we are to have, quote, the pleasure of eating and drinking. Yom Kippur is referred to as the Shabbos of Shabboses. So wouldn't we assume that on the Shabbos of Shabboses, we should have the greatest pleasure of food and drink? And of course, the opposite is true, that doing so on Yom Kippur would separate a person from Hashem, the Isakaris. Why is that? Because the pleasure of food and drink is comparable to the pleasure of Chachma and Bina. Yom Kippur is the level of Ki imcha haslichet, is with the very essence of Hashem. Like we say, within you is the very source of life. So on Yom Kippur, we are touching the very essence of Hashem. On Yom Kippur, we are coming in contact with something that is beyond the sensory pleasures of eating and drinking. Eating and drinking are compared to Chachma and Bina, which, again, a lofty spiritual idea, limited though they still may be. And on Yom Kippur, we're able to touch an even higher level, which then brings us into Sukkot, where we have the makifim, the surrounding walls of the sukkah, representing a level of godliness that is ordinarily untouchable, that is then personalized and internalized with the dalid minim, the four species representing the four letters of the Yud and Hey and Vav and K of Hashem's name, taking the abstract and making it that much more personal.